Hello and welcome to episode 1102 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, September 27th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. We've been hanging out, chatting some baseball, so I know that both of our mornings are going all right. Just deep diving some standings, talking about the off season coming up. Just a quick reminder, by the way, we will downshift a little bit in October. There'll be some episodes, but they won't be the same two a week. We take a little bit of a breather, but both of us have already been talking about how excited we are to dial it up for 2023 in November. So, as insane as that is, to already be like, hey, let's get going, we are excited and we got a lot of things coming on the content plan for the off season. But again, October will be a little bit cooler after we decompress a little bit from the season. But today we're going to talk about some September standouts. Justin, I got an interesting range here of player for you on the hitting side that's been playing well in September. And as always, I'm spinning it forward to 2023, and I want to get your thoughts on these players for next year. We talk a lot about September breakouts and building on to that. It's the last thing we've seen. I think the data has shown that a big September is not a guarantee of any success, but that there is a little something to it. I think that's where the data has lied, at least the last I remember it being studied. I want to say our own Eno Saris or former Eno Saris, formerly our own, has done some studies on that.
Eno is always in our heart.
I know,
like,
that's
even
true.
though he doesn't work at Fangraphs anymore, he's at the Athletic. Like,
So
Eno
he's still
will
our
always
own.
be a part of us.
Damn right.
Because he once was in this chair, in my chair.
Absolutely.
I replaced Eno,
so okay, I won't even amend it. He is our own, but I believe our own Eno Saris did some research on that, but it might have been back, after a little bit after Jose Bautista had popped off. Because remember, he had a big September that kind of indicated, little did we know what an indicator it was going to be, but I think that sprung him or Jeff. I can't remember, but even so, that would be a little bit outdated. Bottom line is, you look at it, you assess the data, and you kind of make your decision from there. There is no guarantee that a big September will bring a strong further season. But I do want to talk about these guys, and I want to start behind the dish with Mike Zoo. Oh, wait, no, sorry, Cal Raleigh. I'm very sorry about that. If you click Cal Raleigh's name anywhere on the site, it takes you to Mike Zunino's page. How crazy is that? What's funny though is I actually love Cal Raleigh, and I've had my beef with Mike Zunino. It has been based on that one season when he spiked a huge batting average. They are pretty similar. I guess the question is where Cal Raleigh's price will lie, because you can pay for 25 homers and a 207 average if it's not expensive. But if he jumps up to a super expensive cost, then I start to worry about that batting average. But he is having a big September. He's been having a big second half, to be honest. 241, 328, 630 is the slash line for September with Raleigh. 6 homers, 10 runs, 15 RBIs, 28% K, 12% walk. A lot of numbers. All of it adds up to quality work here in September. He has 25 homers on the year, but that 207 batting average. Is there enough with Cal Raleigh that you see him as a viable C1 target next year because that power?
Yeah, I think he is a viable C1 target. One, the Mariners love him. Like, because
he can catch too. The Zunino comps carry all the way over to the defense. Continue. Who you're shouting out?
Shout out to Jason, who had him in his bold predictions.
Very nice.
At the prior to the start of the season. So Jason really got nailed that one. If you do believe September numbers, I believe September numbers more than I used to, because we don't have the rosters explaining to 40 where you've got like double A and single A pitchers going out there throwing up meatballs and stuff. And so now that it only, expands just a little bit, you feel better about the quality on the mound. So if you believe Cal Raleigh's numbers in September, and get away from the fact that he's got a better batting average, not a great batting average, but a better batting average, it's the zone contact, 85%, which is above or right at league average. He's swinging outside the zone just under 30% of the time. His swing strike rate is down to 12%. Like, there are some actual changes that are happening right now while he's hitting better that makes me think, hey, maybe he can continue this into next year. It's all going to depend on the price. Like, is he a guy that like jumps up huge that people are overpaying for? Like, I tend to want to find the next Cal Raleigh as opposed to this year's.
True, but I don't know that he's really going to surge. I think that the batting average will scare enough up. The 25 homers are going to be appealing, big time. If he pops off in the playoffs and kind of brings more attention to himself, then Cal Raleigh could be somebody who's expensive. I agree with you about looking for the next.
He's hurt right now, so the chances that he even is available for the playoffs. He hurt his thumb while catching.
Oh, I missed that. Pardon me.
They have not put him on the IL yet, so there is a chance he doesn't even play in the playoffs, especially if the Mariners are an early exit type team. If the Mariners stay hot,
that'd keep the price in check then.
Yeah, that might help out a little bit. I'm checking the Rasball Player Rater to see where he kind of falls on.
That's what I was just doing right now. He's 10th.
10th. So, but I mean, Adley Rushman is gonna go above him. Who's going behind him? I would assume MJ Melendez and Jonah Heim will still go above him.
I think Melendez for sure. Heim, I think they're kind of in a similar pack there. Heim and Raleigh.
Yeah. So I mean, I think he's going to be kind of
Tyler Stevenson will go ahead of him too if everything checks out with his health and he's ready to go for the season.
Depending on where Christian Vasquez ends up, like he could go ahead of him. So I mean, like I think he's like a borderline low end catcher C1. So which I think is fair. Like
I agree.
While catcher has been better this year, it still gets pretty ugly. Like it's still catcher, especially if you're in a 2-catcher league and a 15-team catcher league. He's the perfect kind of guy I want to target in like a 12-team 1-catcher league. Like,
yeah, because you're getting him later, right?
Yeah,
and you're not taking Cal Raleigh that expensively in a 12-team 1-catcher situation. I totally agree there, and that makes him an easier pick.
If he falls apart, like if he's hitting 200, like I can just jettison him off for the next guy. Like
agreed. Now you mentioned. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was
gonna say, whereas like in a 15-team 2-catcher league, I might be less likely because there's going to be so little replacement value on the wire that I don't know that I'd rather roster a better catcher at the top.
Counterpoint. You said I want to find the next Raleigh. He came off the waiver wire, so if you drafted him,
that's true.
He failed you. You'd have to find the next one. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but do you have any candidates who you think could be that next Raleigh? And all I'm really looking for here is just a power catcher. You don't even have to get right down to the same, comp of a guy who's actually good behind the dish or anything. Do you have another power breakout that you're eyeing for next year? Is it like a Nick Fortes? Is it, somebody in Colorado? I don't know that Brian Servant has enough pop to really be that guy. Is it a buyback on Mitch Garver, who missed a ton of the year due to injury? Who might that guy be? Is it Joey Bart? Did you see anything from him this year that has you with any encouragement for him? Zebby Zavala?
No, none of those guys. I really have to probably dive in.
Yeah, I figured it would be hard to just have offhand.
Like, Zavala is interesting. I don't know that he's like a huge power breakout guy. It just kind of depends on what the White Sox are planning to do, like at first base, so that way Vaughn can play at first and Grandal can catch, DH, so Zavala can catch more. Bart is interesting because he has been much better since being recalled. I just don't know.
He simply couldn't be any worse. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, no, that's absolutely fair. The problem with Bart is like I don't think he has prodigious power, and he plays in that park, which is obviously going to sap some of that power. So I think he could be a very interesting guy, but like I don't think he's ever like a 30 homer guy, or probably not even a 25 homer guy. So,
yeah, and Raleigh already hit 25 this year, and you really could see one of those Zunino years, and he might be a Zunino plus. Like there could be a situation where if some of this September work that Cal Raleigh has is legit and he can keep the zone contact up, I wouldn't doubt a 40 homer season. Maybe not next year, but in the future. So what about one last name here at catcher before we move on to the next guy? Is somebody like a Christian Bethancourt interesting to you and what he's done this year? It hasn't been special, but it's 11 homers, 5 steals. The problem, of course, is that he's not a very good catcher, so getting that PT is the tough part. But is he somebody who intrigues you at all as a next guy up? And again, we'll move away from the direct Raleigh comps because Raleigh's power is tough to find. But as somebody who isn't going to get drafted that highly, does Bethancourt interest you at all?
I think it depends on where he ends up. Like I don't think he's going to be back in Tampa. So
he could. He would just be He would just be
but
like an ARB eligible type guy, but I imagine they move on because he's a bad catcher.
yeah, exactly. So like it depends on what the role, if he ends up like what helped him was ending up in Oakland and being on a bad team that they didn't really care what they rolled out there. So like if
And
he
not catching, non-catching
yeah.
catcher is key for Bethencourt, but is anybody going to give him full or even close to full PT? That I don't
Yeah.
know.
So like if you ended up in like Pittsburgh or something like that, like a place where they are willing to give in some DH at bats, maybe. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I think I don't think he'll be expensive at all. Like even if he ends up in a place where we go, oh look, there's 500 plate appearances,
I
or
agree.
450 plate appearances potentially here. Like I think he'll still be pretty cheap. So like I think he's more of like a draft and hold kind of guy, Bethencourt.
Okay.
Where like you just kind of your third catcher, you're taking a dart throw.
Yep. And you can get maybe 4 steals out of him, and that's
Mhm.
huge from a third catcher
Yep.
in a draft and hold. So Cal Raleigh, we like him. He's going to be a little bit more expensive, or a lot more expensive next year, but not necessarily expensive on its face. We'll have to see where he starts going in the early drafts. I do believe that if the injury does linger that you mentioned, you said it's a thumb injury
Yeah.
for Raleigh. So if that thumb injury lingers and he doesn't play much, that would kind of keep his price at bay. But if he goes into the playoffs, they make some noise and he hits a few key homers. Little playoff tax could happen in October, November drafts for Cal Raleigh too. So, next guy, a little bit more oriented with Gleber Torres here, and he's had a 24-10 type season, 24 homers, 10 steals, with a 114 OPS plus. But you look in this down the stretch here, 6 homers, 4 steals this month, hitting 305 with a 169 WRC plus. And I'll tell you what, that's very nice, Justin. Is Gleyber's surge doing anything for you down the stretch here outside of raising the price for next year? Because he got his power back, 24 homers, and he didn't lose many of the steals. Remember last year he stole 14 to kind of give fantasy dweebs a little something because his power was out with 9 homers. Well, this year 24 and 10, that's pretty damn good. How do you feel about a will be 26-year-old next year, Gleber Torres?
I mean, you got to love what he's doing in September. You wonder how much he can kind of build upon this. He's got an almost 90% zone contact during this time. Well, he hasn't really changed like an approach or anything. Like he hasn't become more aggressive in the zone or anything. And so it may just be kind of a hot streak.
Just running hot, yeah.
That being said, like they're batting him third pretty much exclusively right now.
I like that.
In that Yankees lineup, you want to be batting, in the top 2, 3, 4, spots. So I think he's a guy that will be very, very interesting in drafts. Like I don't think he's going to go extremely high or anything like that, because I think people will still have like some disdain for the drop off, and his numbers aren't so gaudy where you go, I have to get him. But I think he's going to be a fair price, and he's a guy that I don't have a problem putting on my team. I wish he got a few more games at shortstop so he'd be eligible, but second base is not going to be the strongest of positions next year necessarily. So
Yeah.
I think he's going to fit into the top 10 at second base.
He was a 10th, 11th round guy, Gleber Torres was this past year in main events. I'm feeling like a 6th to 8th round type situation. You think that's about right?
Probably, yeah, like where Altuve was going this year. So
Okay.
I think it's totally fair. And I mean, even if he doesn't, like, even if we only really project him to hit like 18, 19 home runs next year, like the runs and RBIs batting in the top half of that Yankees lineup are still going to be amazing. So, and you get some speed with that too. So, yeah, I like Torres.
Altuve was a 5th rounder. You think he gets all the way up there for Gleber?
I don't think so.
So maybe just a little bit behind where Altuve was going, more in like if we're going to keep the Houston comp there, not that it's the same position, but where Bregman was going, 88, 89, maybe somewhere in that range for Gleyber. I could totally see that. Let's talk about Eduardo Escobar, who's had an interesting season. This will be the first of 2 crusty old third basemen that we're going to talk about, one even older than him at the very end, who found his numbers. Because at the end, at different points in this year, you're probably like, Eduardo Escobar, homie's cooked, done. And yet here we are, and he's really pretty much in line, a little bit off of last year's numbers in terms of rate stats. 106, he had a 107 WRC plus last year. He's at 103 this year, but that's not too far off. That's range of outcomes type of deal. However, because offense is down and the way everything's worked, that's still a 9 homer drop. and a major RBI drop. He was 28.90 last year. He's 19.63 this year, but the September has been very nice. 7 homers, 19 ribbies, 15 runs, a 329 average for Eduardo Escobar. He'll be 34 next year. I believe he has a club option. Oh, no, he's actually locked in for next year. So he'll be a Met again next year. What do you think of a 34-year-old Eduardo Escobar as a late round glue guy at CI? Because I think that's all he's going to be treated as. Is that something that would interest you? I know you've been a little bit off on him recently. I think the price will continue to dip. Does that get you back into the Eduardo Escobar sweepstakes at all?
I don't know, because I mean they've got guys like, right? They've got Batty, they've got Vientos who's now up. Like they've got guys that can play that role.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna be one of those guys kind of fighting for a job in spring training. Like it's like whether or like, you know, maybe not the job, but fighting for like a role. It's so hard. He was so bad. Like up until September started, he had let's see. He had 12 home runs, 0 stolen bases. His triple slash was 218, 269, 383.
Jeez.
His September is carrying the weight.
It really is, because the only other time that there was anything all that good out of Eduardo Escobar this year was the 6 homers in July. And he only hit 220 with a 245 OBP there. So that was an all or nothing power month. And then he went homerless in 14 August games before this surge here. So it is a really interesting breakdown for Eduardo Escobar. But Roto, all he cares about the bottom line, although in a lot of leagues you probably cut him. So he found his numbers. Is that enough for you for Eduardo? Or are you too worried about, like you said, Vientos, Beatty, Jeff McNeil, the kind of clutter and redundancy of roles there to where maybe they only have him in a partial role at age 34?
No, I don't. The underlying skills in some regards are better, and in other regards are worse. He's still swinging outside the zone 40% of the time. He's pretty much getting up there and swinging 3 out of 4 pitches. He's got a
man's ready to hit.
Yeah, like he's just like, well, at least in the zone. So 76% zone swing percentage, 54% swing percentage overall. I don't know. Like I think time is pretty much done on him. Like let's say, like, do we really think that he can carry this for a whole season? Because I don't. Like, and that's the bottom line. I think this is who he is. He's gonna have hot months and cold months, and maybe we project him for 22 home runs and like a 230 something batting average.
You know what's crazy is his last 3 seasons, the last 3 full seasons, 19, 21, 22. Have all been pretty similar, 108, 107, 103 WRC plus, but a wildly different number of homers, 35, 28, 19. And that's probably married pretty well with the games played to a degree as well, 158, 146, 129. However, the ISO says the power is dipping, 242, 219, 191, which makes sense, A, due to the fact that he's aging, B, due to the fact that 2019 was the rabbit ball. So I guess it's pretty bland with Eduardo. Like I said, you've been out for a while. You didn't buy big on the 2019. You weren't really buying in on the discount last year for 21. So I understand you're not a huge Eduardo guy. I see it more this year, though, because if he's just a bland high teens, low 20s homer count with modest RBI and runs because he bats lower in the order with nothing for batting average, what are you really getting out of Eduardo Escobar, right? Like, even if he does play all year, it's pretty blah. So glue guy that maybe I'll take late, but that's really it, man. He was a 13th rounder last year. If he's not 15th or later this year, I'm not taking Eduardo.
I think at this point, Eduardo Escobar needs volume to be productive in fantasy.
100% agree.
And he's batting at, like you mentioned, batting at the bottom of the order because the Mets are so good. And he is clearly coming to our podcast right now. I heard that bell.
He's trying to get in.
It's like, let me in. Don't bury me.
Shit about me. Don't talk shit about me. I want to say my piece. Eduardo,
you're supposed to be prepping for a game, dude.
For real, Eduardo. This is getting embarrassing, bro. It's just a fantasy pod that we're doing here. You're getting really offended that Justin doesn't want to draft you, bro.
Yeah.
Don't come in my room. Do not.
But then you add in the Vientoses, the Baddies. The Mets will probably spend just in general anyways, because they've got, $1 billion owner now. So I just think that there's just so much can go wrong and not a ton that can really go right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it could spike another 25 homers. Eduardo Escobar could, but that's like really the best that you're looking for is a mid to upper 20s home run count with little else to go for. By the way, it is Beatty. I wasn't sure if it was Batty. It should be Batty, B-A-T-Y, but I am looking on BREF right here, and they put B-A-I-T -E-E for the pronunciation. So Beatty. Just want to get that corrected so that anybody doesn't screaming at their phone.
I'm gonna mess it up.
That's fine. I just wanted to put it out there because I wasn't sure either. I said Batty earlier because I'm like, yeah, it is B-A-T-Y. Like that does make sense, but it is Brett Beatty. I know how to pronounce this guy's name, but I don't know who the hell he is. I'm just being honest. Alex Call, sorry. I don't know you, but you're having a hell of a month here in Washington. 27-year-old journeyman type. Popping off, hitting 309, 397, 545 in September with 3 homers, 9 runs, 9 ribbies, and a chip-in steal. He has a 125 WRC plus in 28 games with the Nats. Is Alex Call something? This is his debut year, by the way, at age 27. So he's a late bloomer. Like I said, journeyman, came from Cleveland via the White Sox. So this is his 3rd organization. You see anything here? Or is this just a hot little September that we will soon forget?
He's actually 28. Today is his birthday.
Happy birthday, Alex Call.
Yeah.
I haven't gone on a BREF page on their birthday in a while, and that's a small thrill that I get when I'm just randomly searching somebody up and you see the little happy birthday thing at the top. So happy birthday to Alex Call. Are you going to give him some good pub on his birthday, or are you going to say that you're fading this this hot run?
Yeah, I'm totally fading this. Like,
oh man, you can't even help him out on his birthday, man. Tough scene.
You love what he's doing right now, but I think this is like the perfect example of, especially at the end of a season, you will ride any hot streak that is going right now. And
any port in the storm, as Jeff Erickson likes to say.
He is playing every day. He's hitting the ball really well. Like the underlying numbers are amazing for the month of September. 89% zone contact, a 5.5% swinging strike rate right now. Like he is just seeing the hell out of the ball. But like this is not a guy we expect to have much power, have much speed. Like he's probably in a full season, he's a replacement level player.
Alex Call did find some pop in AAA this year too, by the way. He did hit 11 homers in 71 games with Cleveland's organization. And he was only in AAA for less than a week, 5 games with Washington, hit another 2 homers. But it wasn't the biggest power spike that we've seen. I haven't read anything about like swing changes or whatever, but I do wonder if maybe there was some sort of alterations to Call, and maybe there's some late bloom viability here. I don't know. I'd have to do research, but you're talking about these skills. They sound pretty solid, the underlying core skills to what he's doing. So I think it's probably just, run of the mill. Maybe it could be a volume guy in draft champions, but I do wonder if there's more. If anyone knows that Alex Call is doing something big, let us know if he made any sort of swing guru changes or whatever.
Give us a call.
Well done.
Yeah. Here's something I don't know that I've ever really seen before. So he's got a 422 slug and a 310X slug.
What?
I've never seen that.
I've never seen that kind of disparity
going the wrong way.
Yeah.
So like that tells you like he's been lucky. Like,
I
know the Nationals Park like is a good place.
It helps, yeah.
But like that's pretty weird, right?
To be that disparate. Yeah,
that's not the months like that's the whole year. Like that's and he got called up late July. So like that's 2 months of fluky weirdness, which is also weird because he's got like a 273 BABIP. Like so it's not like he's gotten like this major BABIP boost or something. Like
does he have a bunch of like homers that would have only gone out in Washington or other parks type of deal for Alex Call?
Oh, that's a good question. I can look that up. Like I was thinking like did he like get a bunch of singles that just like the outfielder missed? And just rolled
what's
to the wall.
going on?
He turned a single into what was a triple.
They started calling them triples and doubles instead of errors.
He only has 4 home runs.
True.
But there are quite a few parts where you would have.
Are they legit? Does any part? Oh, I think
Yeah,
I got you back. I got you back.
Yeah, he's got a few parks where you would hit 1, but like I mean, a few parks where he'd still have 4, right? Like the Giants Park, he'd still have
Okay.
4. Like
So
Arizona,
is it
he'd still have 4. Like
small sample fluke then that his X slug is
it's gotta be.
that disparate? 422 slug to a 310 X slug. That seems crazy. Those of you who study those numbers a lot, X numbers, let us know if that's normal. That stands out to me, though. That's kind of interesting. But Alex Call, I'll keep an eye on him. I'm going to do a deeper dive offline here to see like if there is anything. Did he go to a swing doctor or something? But as it stands right now, it's not something that's really got me going. Because we play deep leagues, I'll know him and I'll be aware of him for draft champions, but I don't know that I'm really drafting him. Let's go back to the star end of the spectrum and talk about Javier Baez. He's trying to put a little sweet taste in everyone's mouth on the way out here because it's been a dreadful, dreadful season for him and the Tigers. But you look up and all of a sudden he's almost at league average. And I don't know if he's going to get there by the end of the season or not. He'd have to probably have another good 9 days here. He has a 91 WRC plus, so probably not. But he has 15 homers and 9 steals combined for the total year. 4 homers, 1 steal in September with a 333, 356, 560 slash line. It's a 160 WRC plus. Is Baez, finding his footing and going to carry this over to next year? Or is this just a hot month at the end of a shit season?
Yeah, this is just a hot month at the end of the shit season, and you look at the underlying numbers, and they're just as bad as they always are. Like it's like a below average zone contact, an almost 50% O swing, a 19% swinging strike rate in this hot month for Baez. The beauty of Baez is that his hands are so fast,
yes,
that he makes up for like just
everything.
The worst plate approach. Which means like there is upside. Like you can't not say like I don't know where he's going to go in drafts. Like he's one of the hardest guys to predict because they're going to be some people who like buy it back, and there are going to be other people like I'm going to touch in those skills. If he's going outside like the top 20 rounds in a 15,
he's not going to fall that far. He's not going to fall.
You don't think so?
No shot. I thought you were going to say outside of the top 10.
There's no way I touch him inside the top 20 rounds. Like I just don't. Like,
yeah, I think he is a 150 to 200 pick at the lowest.
Yeah, no way am I touching that.
And I don't disagree with you, but I just don't think Baez is going to fall that far. I think enough people will still say he's 30. It was a dead year. I can still get speed. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'll be with you, actually. I'm siding with you. I'm not going to draft him, but I don't think he's going to drop quite that far. If Yohan Moncada can keep getting drafted where he does while doing literally nothing.
Well, I think this is finally the time Yohan Moncada.
I think so, too. But he went 154 last year coming off the season that he had. Moncada did. I think Baez will go around that level, and his season was much better than – I shouldn't say much better because the slash line for Moncada last year was actually good, but it was dry fantasy-wise, 14 homers, 3 steals. For Baez, the line is ugly, 241, 281, 394, but 15 homers, 9 steals, which those 6 steals are pretty massive in comparison to Moncada there. So I think he's going to go somewhere in the 130 to 180 range for Baez. You're saying no shot you're paying for that.
No way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And we can move on to our next guy here. Taylor Ward has had a roller coaster of a season. Came out absolutely on fire. Looked like a star breakout turn for him, building on what he did last year in a 237 plate appearance sample. He put up a 108 OPS plus. It's like, hey, a little bit of a late bloomer guy, but finally getting some time. Joe Madden loves him, putting him at the top of the order, and he was killing it. Well, shoulder injury got him, and it only took a little bit of time off. So it didn't seem like it was catastrophic. He missed 4 days in late May, and everyone's like, okay, he's fine, he's back. And then he actually had another injury, I want to say was a hamstring, that cost him 9 days in mid-June. That was seen as the problem injury, but no, it was the shoulder one. He even said this in an article that really impacted him, and boy, did it. From that point forward, over his next 2+ months, he put up a 205, 287, 317 line with 7 homers for Taylor Ward. That's a 17 homer full season pace. Before that, he was on like a 50 homer full season pace. That's how good he was. However, he's rallying to the finish line. And in his last month, which is the last 6 games of August plus this month, 337, 389, 535 with 5 homers and a steal. Call me crazy, but I feel like the shoulder's feeling better, and that's why he's popping off again. I'm in on the Ward train. I was in early. I am giving him a pretty firm pass for the shoulder impacting the summer, and I'm ready to buy back in and be hurt again because I don't think I'm going to be hurt. I actually think it's going to be worth buying. I think the price will be kept down enough because the full season line is going to look good, but not special, and he'll be 29 years old. What say you about Taylor Ward's strong finish here leading into next year?
So we are always talking about who's this year's Robbie Ray, who's this year's Cedric Mullins. Where's like this year's Anthony Santander? Because that's Taylor Ward, like the guy who was, is okay, but dealt with some injuries, and
there's more to the profile, but nobody's really.
But he's not gonna be a first rounder. We're not looking for the first rounder. We're looking for a guy who's gonna drastically make money on his draft spot without like being the guy everybody credits for helping them win their league.
Exactly. Santander isn't necessarily on every winning team, but he probably helped a lot of teams be successful with that power infusion this year. 31.
Yeah. So like I think that's Taylor Ward, right? I think you look at his StatCast stuff and it's all in the red, or at least pink. Nothing in the blue, which is great. We know he's got power. He chips in stolen bases. At some point, the Angels will feel the competitive team around him. Maybe this Trout or Ohtani guy can like get it together.
I see some things in them too. I don't want to overhype them, but I think both of them could be something.
Yeah, I agree.
That Ohtani guy pitches too. Have you seen that?
I have. Yeah, I have seen that. And maybe Anthony Rendon stays healthy 1 year.
Okay, now you went too far with it. You went too far with it.
Yeah, I think Ward Santander was one of my most rostered players. I think Ward will be because I think he's going to go in the same spot, like 160-ish next year.
I got a news alert for you. You're going to be surprised by it. Santander went 297 in the main event.
Oh,
that was his ADP. His min was 173, so he probably started moving up. Let's just call it 200 for Ward. I'll pay that all day. I'll pay the price you just said.
Yeah.
The 160 price you said I would pay, but I think he's going to be more toward 200.
You're probably
because,
right. Yeah.
The bottom line is going to look good, not great. 272, 357, 458 with 21 homers, 4 steals right now. And I don't know that he's going to have a ton of hype for Taylor Ward.
He's going to be, what happened with Santander for me was like, he was going down where you were saying. I ranked him 40th in the outfield. He finished 21st. And I remember a lot of people like, why are you ranking him that high? It's like, I just believe
you loved his power. I remember you talking about
the power. It's he's finally got a full-time role in Baltimore. I think Ward's the same way. He's got a full-time role in Los Angeles for the Angels. We know he's got power. We know he's got some decent contact skills.
Good lineup spot too. They love him in the top 4, 1 or 4 consistently.
I think he's gonna be next year's Anthony Santander.
I like that. I really do, and I'll be buying Taylor Ward shares even at the high end of what you said, 160s. But I think I can get him cheaper than that. We'll see. I'm willing to pay the upper end, but I think we can get a lower register too. I don't know what to make of this next guy that we're going to talk about. Yandy Díaz is not just having a good September; he's having a wonderful season. But that's why I wanted to highlight him. In September, he's hitting 321, 424 home. He gets on base like crazy. 393 is his slug with a homer and a steal. So that's kind of part of the essence of him, though, is that the fantasy juice isn't necessarily there outside the average. He is having a wonderful year. 145 is the WRC plus for Yandy Díaz. 292, 399, 419. 9 homers, 3 steals in 6 attempts, 54 RBIs, and a very nice 69 runs. That's just not a lot of fantasy heat, though, Justin. So while he is having a good season, I don't really know what to make of Yandy Díaz, and I'm curious if you're going to pay for him next year. I don't think his price is going to go through the roof, but he'll be more expensive than he was this past year, I'd imagine. And this past year, he went very cheap, 446. So he'll definitely be more expensive than that, but he's only going to be in like the 300s, I bet. I really don't think the fantasy community is going to overpay for this Yandy Díaz season. Do you even want it, though? Is there enough here with the batting average upside that you're even interested in him at a bargain bin price of the 300s for Yandy Díaz?
You know, he is one tweak away from the launch angle. I've said this like over and over again.
Oh, I thought you were playing a clip from 3 years ago. My bad. That was you just now.
To the podcast. Just Jason, send Yandy just live. Like everything is like the only thing that is blue on his StatCast profile is barrel percentage. And outs above average because he's bad defensively.
Yeah.
But barrel percentage, but it's because he does not qualify for a barrel because he never lifts the fucking ball. Just lift the ball.
It's bad. I will say he has improved over the last couple of years because remember in the short in 2020, he put the ball on the ground 66% of the time. He's at 52% ground ball last year and 49 this year. First time below 50.
Hit in the dirt, like right in front of home plate, like just
slamming it. He buried a hole there. He hit the ball so many times.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with Yandy. You know, there's no homers, not enough homers. There's no steals. Is there enough juice, or is he just like an AL only guy that's perfect in the really deep formats because he plays a lot and gets a good batting average? That's kind of how I feel about Yandy.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think he's a guy you take at the end of a draft if you're looking at your team and you go, I need some batting average.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just, and then you just hope that maybe there is 1 year.
You get the 1 year that he hits 24 homers.
It wouldn't even need to be a lot. Like his launch angle this year is 7.9 degrees. Like if he just got it to 12, which would be a lot, but for him,
but even 10, just 2 more degrees.
If he got it to 12, you're talking about a guy who could hit 30 plus homers. And be like, and still like keep those batting average gains. Like you wouldn't need to change the approach. It's just the path of the bat through the zone. You
it's
dream
infuriating.
on it. You dream on it because you see the guns.
I know he is yoked. Yandy Díaz is huge.
And I think I've mentioned this before, as someone who used to be like into powerlifting and stuff when I was younger and trying to get back into it, but now it's just lifting because there's not much power in my old age. Is you get guys who work out specifically certain muscle groups like too much and they don't work enough on flexibility. And you ever see like a really, really buff guy? It looks like they're like flexing their arms.
Yeah. They're always in that mode and they have to like turn their whole bodies to turn.
Yeah. And so that's not because they're trying to flex, but because they haven't like done the proper flexibility training on top of it. And they've actually shortened the tendons in his arms. And you wonder if like, that's what Yandy's done. Like he just does not have the flexibility, but you look at what Aaron Judge has done, like with like working on flexibility as opposed to strength training. He's got the strength already. Like, and now you see like he's been able to stay healthy and be productive at the same time. You just wonder like, hey, Yandy, maybe do some yoga in the off season.
Little bit of yoga, man. Just mix it in there. A little flexibility.
God, I dream on it. I just dream on Yandy Díaz, but from an actual fantasy perspective, like, until we see it, like it's just really hard to believe. That being said, like I do think, especially in DCs, he's a guy I target because
late batting average is remarkably difficult to find, and you can. He's not going to spike. I think the max that we would see is like a 250 ADP for Yandy.
Yeah,
that's at the high end. I really don't think the market's going to go crazy for him. I mean, Luis Ariz was 336 last year. He had quad eligibility. And everyone knew what his batting average could be. So I really don't even see Yandy going above that. I really think he'll be in the 300s.
I do too. And I think that is a fine gamble.
Yep. Yeah. At there, he can't really hurt you that much, even if the power never comes through. Let's talk to Oscar Gonzalez over in Cleveland. Maybe that's why Alex Call was expendable because he came from Cleveland. He's an outfielder and they've had outfield issues. Oscar Gonzalez is part of their new revamped outfield over there. 289, 321, 468 on the season. It's a 121 WRC plus with 11 homers. In this month, he's hit 6 of those 11 homers, 298, 339, 519. Doesn't strike out, 14% strikeout rate, 5% walk though. So he's one of those guys, swings a bunch, makes a bunch of contact, not much for walks, but we've seen a little power infusion. Can we believe it in Oscar Gonzalez? He's another guy you look at and you're like, oh yeah, the power should be there. He looks huge. but we haven't seen a ton of power until this final month here. Do you believe in Oscar Gonzalez? He'll be 25 next year for Cleveland.
No.
Aw.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, if he gets a fastball, he can just crush the thing, right? Like, if he gets a fastball in the zone, he can absolutely crush the thing. We know he has power. He's in the first percentile in terms of chase rate. So, like, he swings outside of the zone. Even now, like, even in the hot streak, he's swinging outside the zone way too much. Like, his O swing in the month of September is like 48%, which is not good at all. Like, I've got
not what you want.
League average is 30 or 32%.
To put it in context real quick, for September on this list of guys we've talked about, he's tied with Javier Baez, Oscar Gonzalez.
Yeah,
they're both at 49% for September.
Yeah, he also has you said the 14% strikeout rate, but that's his swing and strike rate too, which does not add up.
Oh yeah, which says more K's coming, right?
Yeah, so like this is a hot stretch that guy. I mean, you look at like Aristides Aquino's numbers in September are pretty decent as well too. Like he's not any better as a hitter. Like this is just a hot stretch. This is not like a guy I'm going to be going back to the well on at all. Like I think you ride it right now. I hope he hits 10 more home runs rest of the way because he's on Scott Genstead's main event
contender.
That is a contender right now.
Then I do too. Then yes.
But other than that, that's not for me, dog.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think there's a chance for Oscar Gonzalez to be hyped up quite a bit. He's 25. There's a little bit of prospect notoriety to him. He's not a top prospect, but prospect folks do like him. Like there are folks that advocate for him. And if he does hit another 3-4 homers and he's close to, say, 14, 15, it'll be like a 125 WRC plus. I think there'll be a lot of hype built on it. And he's at that dangerous point where you can double up his numbers. He has 82 games right now, so give him 9 more. He's only going to be at 93, so you're going to get that sort of lazy, like, oh, if you could just double it, dude, it's 25 homers and it's 90 ribbies, and it's like, well, not so fast, my friend. That's the thing that's bothered me with Oscar Gonzalez all year, because he had another flourish earlier. I think it was like right when he first came up, and you see the swinging strike rate, it just didn't match with the strikeout rate.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something that he's just able to maintain. I'm nervous about it. You don't usually swing and miss that much, 15%, and only have a 20% strikeout rate, which is what he has right now. So that is worrisome for Oscar Gonzalez. The price will still eventually dictate how in I am, but I don't see myself seeking out Oscar Gonzalez.
I think there are going to be some people who are like, oh, he's like Adolis Garcia, like he's just going to keep hitting. And those guys have I still think Adolis Garcia is going to fall off.
I'm not drafting. He is going to create I think Adolis Garcia's season this year is going to create so many mistakes because people are thinking that they got it wrong. I think this is a process versus outcome sort of thing.
Absolutely.
That the process of fading him made complete sense, and people trying to justify themselves as to why they messed up and why they should have taken him. Go ahead and take him this year then, or take him in 2023. By all means, you can have all the Adolis Garcia. And if he pulls it off again, then you can have it. But I promise you he's playing over his skis with Adolis Garcia specifically. And I believe Oscar Gonzalez is playing over his skis a bit as well.
Yeah, I don't. And I mean, it's not like Gonzalez has been good defensively. If he was good defensively, you could make the argument that, hey, his defense will keep him in the lineup. But, if and when he does struggle, because the struggles are going to come offensively. But 14th percentile in outfield jump and outs above average on StatCast tells me like he's probably not a very good defender. I haven't personally watched him play a lot of defense, but my guess by looking at the numbers is he's not a very good defender.
And my assumption by looking at his body is that he's not very smooth out there. He's got a little bit of the not quite the I'm yoked, I can't move, but he doesn't seem super flexible either, Oscar Gonzalez. So this guy doesn't seem super flexible. That's because he's 100 years old though. But Justin Turner, that sumbitch, got to his numbers again, Justin. Again. I think I was writing his obituary on this show earlier in the summer. And I even pointed out, he usually rallies, but I just don't know this year because it's been so bad with him. And yet I should have just trusted, because he put up 525, 773, and 680 OPS totals through June. Since then, 1030, 815, 1073 this month in September with 4 homers, 15 ribbies. He did it again. And if you look, his April to June is the complete opposite of his July forward. He was at a 673 OPS when June ended, and now he's at 803 for the season because he put up a 970 over the summer. He'll be 38 next year. He does have a team option, a vesting option. I don't know if it vested, by the way. I can look that up. They are dropping a bunch of money for the Dodgers, by the way, so they can afford, I think, to still keep him around if they want to and make him kind of the permanent DH. Are you going to get in on Justin Turner?
I'm having a real hard time figuring out this contract situation.
It looks like there's some. It's based on MVP voting. I don't think he's going to get any MVP.
Yeah.
Voting.
So and
so it's a team option then.
It's a team option at $16 million. They may bring him back for $16 million.
I think so, with all the other money that they're like. Price is done. Kimbrel's done. Trey's a free agent. I think they might try to bring him back. You know that. There were some other small dollar things that they're losing. Like Kershaw is done. I don't know what they're going to do with him. They have a lot of things opening up, and 16 mil is not that much for a guy who's been this good. He only has to be like and he's a 2-win guy.
And he's an organizational favorite. Like he's a clubhouse guy. The organization loves him.
This is Justin Turner, by the way. I haven't said his name.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I think they could bring him back. They also have Miguel Vargas, though. Who,
and I like him. But put Vargas at third and Turner at DH, you know, like I don't even know if you want him out there that much anyway. So I don't even know that, you know, if you're putting him in DH, that's not necessarily a problem.
Yeah, I think he's probably back. I also think he's probably pretty damn cheap again, like around, you know, 200-ish, maybe even after that. Probably after that, considering how slow his season started. And
there's 150 this year. So yeah, I could see a 30-40 pick drop.
Yeah,
I would say late 100s for sure.
People are going to see, like, you know, a teens home run total, you know, and not a batting average that jumps off the page. Like, you're not seeing a 300 batting average or anything for Turner. But yeah, I mean, he just does what he does every year. Like, he just
he finds his level, man.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. Like I said, I was burying him because he was so bad through June. I was like, oh, well, you know, age catches up to everybody. Not so fast, my friend.
Death, taxes, and Justin Turner being good. Like, it's just, and I think
your watch to it.
Especially if it's after pick 200, I'll be fine with that. I'll be absolutely fine with that.
If he does dip that far, I'm in. But even in late 100s, I think I'm in on that for Justin Turner as well. Homie knows how to close. You know, you look over the course of his career, April and May are his worst months. The only 2 months that he has for his career under 800 OPS. And then June through September, again, this is for his whole career, 841 or higher, ranging as high as 880 in September. So he always closes strong. And that's why he was the finisher of this episode, because the 38-year-old, he'll be 38 next year, and he's just getting it done, man. Justin Turner, you just can't forget him. So based on our perceived prices, what we guesstimated, who's your favorite here?
Ward. I think Ward is my favorite.
That's exactly where I was going to.
I don't think it's particularly close between the other guys. I mean, Turner might be, you know, in the conversation.
Ward, Turner, and Raleigh are probably my 3 faves.
Yeah. Well, I probably Ward, Turner, Torres.
Gleber, Gleber's in there too.
Yeah, but I think Ward is easily the guy that, and I mean, there's so many smart people in the industry. He'll probably get pushed up here, you know.
But I think even his boosted price is fair. It's like it's one of those where I'm willing to still pay it. I don't think it'd become cost prohibitive if Ward is going, say, at like 130.
Yeah,
and I think that would be like, holy crap, he got really pushed up. I think I would still pay that. That's where Lourdes Gurriel went this year, who I love. And I actually see them somewhat similarly.
Yeah, so, I like Ward a lot. I think he's the guy to target out of this list. But I think there's more a matter of like, hey, I am definitely fading Baez. I am definitely fading Oscar Gonzalez next year. Like I know other people are going to be like, hey, buy back in on Baez, or or Gonzalez can do, especially these September numbers.
Mhm.
People are going to be like, look, Gonzalez. It's not even September, really. It's from the moment he got brought up in August.
Yeah, because this isn't
Cleveland.
the only good work
Mhm.
for Gonzalez. I just happened to highlight him for September, but his
Yeah.
whole run, 121 WRC plus in 82 games. Like he's had a great half season, and I think people are going to extrapolate.
Especially because if you cut off before August, he's hitting like 290, like from August on. But
That
all the
weird strikeout stuff.
but the underlying skills just say like there's absolutely no way this can continue. Like it's just to me it's just such a huge red flag on Oscar Gonzalez.
Yeah,
that,
50 games of a 292 since August 1st. You're exactly right.
So
and he hit 285 in this first run before that. So it's not like he was even bad. It's just that since and that was through June 29th, he went down for a month, came back, and in these final 2 months, he's been killing it. So
yeah,
I want to like him.
He hits the ball hard. We love that, but the approach is so bad.
That the approach just scares me with Oscar Gonzalez, and I can see him getting a lot of hype. So
Mhm.
Friday we'll look at some pitchers in the same vein. September pitchers. I'll try to get another good mix of guys, and we'll figure out what we're doing with them for the future. But yeah, we're coming through the home stretch here. If you're still chasing your titles, Justin's still putting out the Roto write-up. I'm putting out my daily SP chart. We're trying to bring it home for you there, but the content on the pod is still going to be 2023 focused. If you want stuff that is focused here, go listen to the pitcher list. They did a final rundown of all the pitchers to look at for the final stretch here. You can definitely find other stuff that is focused on the here and now. And I didn't want to overlap with that, which is why we've kind of turned our attention to 2023 focus and breaking down guys who have been performing down the stretch here. So we'll talk again on Friday. Pitchers who have closed strong and what we're going to do with them. But until then, Justin, I'll talk to you later.
Take it easy.